for memorial lecture.
हाँ ये ओपन कर दूँ फिर रख लेते हैं।
Before inviting our today's eminent speaker, Dr. R. Kelkar sir, former TGM IMD, for delivering Miss Annamani Memorial Lecture, I would like to give his brief introduction. Dr. R. Kelkar sir had served as Director General of India Meteorological Department, New Delhi, during 1998 to 2003. After his retirement from IMD, he had served as ISRO Chair Professor at the Department of Atmospheric and Space Sciences, University of Pune, from 2004 to 2008. He was also an elected member of the Executive Council of the World Meteorological Organization, Geneva. He has over 50 research publications to his credit and is a recipient of the Indian Journal of Meteorology and Geophysics Award and the J. Das Gupta Award. He is a great writer and speaker on matters related to meteorology. Your presence is warmly welcome, sir.
Thank you for that introduction. We have more people online and offline. Dr. Ravichandran, Dr. Mahapatra, Dr. Sridharan, hopefully, and Dr. Asha Gopinathan. Welcome to this program. We won't be able to see you, but you're there. People on the dais who are now there. So okay. Dr. Krishnan, Dr. Hosalikar, Ms. Rahalkar, Dr. Somashen Senroy, Satyaban, and all friends, and of course, Dr. Lele is sitting there. My title is Life and Times of Miss Annamani. It's not her life as such, but the times in which she spent her life is something that we should be aware of. I'll speak for 20 minutes, maybe 25, not more than that. IMD was established in 1875, 150 years back. There's a lot of excitement in the air. But let me begin by saying that it took 73 years for IMD to find a woman to join IMD. It's been a long time. And since then, we have come a long way. In fact, I've been chatting with many people like Tara and Shoma and all, and it's a long time. But we are still far away from the goal. So let's see what Annamani did. There are three questions I put in here. What was Annamani's life and career like? Number one. Number two, what is the significance of her work? And number three, how can we enshrine her memory for the future? Because people like me remember her, people like you don't know her. So we should have a memory enshrined in some place. When we talk of big people, usually we start with their childhood, because that helps them to grow afterwards. And Anna was born in a place known as Pirmade in Kerala. It's a hill station. Some of you might have been there. And she was born to Christian parents. But while noting that she was the seventh of 8 children, she had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. So imagine how much time the parents would have given to this girl. 1/8, maybe less than that. So in spite of that, she became what she was. At that time in 1918, 100 years ago, female literacy rate in India was 1%. It means that out of every 100 women, 99 women could not read or write. Only one in 100 could write in some language or read in some language. Most of the girls never went to school. They worked at home or they got married. And out of those who went to school, very few completed their studies. They're again married or kept at home. So this was the background in 1918 in which Anna grew up. She was little fortunate because her parents were well educated. Her father was an engineer, and Travancore was ruled by a very progressive royal family. In fact, you may be knowing that the first observatory in Trivandrum was set up not by the British, but by the Maharaja of Travancore. So it was a progressive family, and education was free for girls in that time, at that time. And most of the girls studied up to high school level. So Anna went to two schools, His Highness Maharaja School for Girls in Trivandrum and Kristava Mahilalayam High School for Girls in Alvik. So this was the school education which she completed. Anna developed a love for science, and she was fond of reading quite a lot. At the age of 7, what was she reading? She was reading the Encyclopedia Britannica at the age of 7, because there was no Google at that time, and for everything you have to read books. So at the age of 7, Anna read Encyclopedia Britannica. She grew up and then went to college, and 1934 to 1939, she was a student of Women's Christian College in Chennai for 2 years. Following that, she was at the Presidency College in Chennai for 3 years, and there she got a BSc honors degree in physics and chemistry in 1939. This was equivalent to a master's degree. Please remember this, I'm going to come back to it later on. So this was her 5 years of education at a time when 1% women were literate. In 1940, the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore gave her a scholarship, and she was offered to work under the guidance of none else than Sir C.V. Raman, the Nobel laureate. And the very fact that C.V. Raman chose Annamani shows her caliber. And she was there for 5 years, working under Sir C.V. Raman. And she worked there on rubies and diamonds. Mani in Marathi means a gem or a pearl. And it was fantastic that she did research on her own name. And she was a gem of a woman, no doubt about that. So she worked on fluorescence, absorption, and scattering of light in rubies, and polarization, scattering in diamonds. She worked for 5 years, produced 5 papers, and submitted her PhD thesis. But that administrative problem came up, that her BSc honors was not enough for a PhD. So the thesis remains in the library for us to read. So that was the thing that she did until 1945. And then she was offered a scholarship to go to England. Nowadays, when you go abroad, you ask for a travel grant, go to a website like Make My Trip and book a ticket. This was not the things happening at that time. And she had to go to England on her own. So she went by ship. Even the ship journey was expensive. So 1945 was the end of the Second World War, and thousands of soldiers were going home. So she hopped onto a ship which were carrying 1,000 soldiers back and landed in London. So this was the journey from 45 to 48. What did she do in London? She went to the Imperial College, one of the finest colleges in London, And her choice was instrumentation, which was not very keen. The people there were not very keen on that. So they told her to go to the Met Office, the British Met Office in Harrow. And she worked on Met Instruments in Harrow for some time. And finally, she went to the National Physical Laboratory in Teddington. Not Imperial in Delhi, this is Imperial in Teddington. So this was a 3 year stay in the UK in which she kind of became a Met instrument expert. In the meantime, India had got independence. And 1947, things changed here. And she thought of coming back. And that was the time in 1948 when IMD got the first woman meteorologist in the country. That was the year. And when she joined what is called IS, instrument section, there were 121 men and one woman. So that was the scene those days. And by 1960, she was the director of instruments in Pune. From 1948 to 1976, 28 years, I think IMD made tremendous progress under Miss Money. And that was the time when all our instruments came from England, like the Siemens rain gauge, Tynes anemograph, Asman cyclometer, things like that. That name's 14th barometer. So she said, well, make in India. I mean, what we are saying today as a slogan, she did it. She didn't have a slogan, she did it. And she said, let's make our own instrument. So manufacture, calibration, standardization is something that she introduced in IMD. And within her time, IMD virtually became self-sufficient in instrumentation. So that was her contribution. Another thing that was an epoch-making thing was India changed to the metric system in 1959. I mean, we used to talk about yards and furlongs and miles and so on. Like women used to wear a paswari sari, nauwari sari. So we measured in yards and miles and furlongs. And the rainfall was in inches. Temperature was in degrees Fahrenheit. She changed the whole thing. And it was quite a big thing to change the whole system from inches to millimeters and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So that was a major accomplishment that she achieved during her 28 years. She was also fond of letting her instruments do intercomparisons. She wanted to prove that they are fine. And there were several international comparisons under WMO. This is a photo of a WMO Edison comparison in Bayern in Switzerland, 1956. And it's a very commonly seen photograph where she's holding her radioson in her hand and holding it proudly that this is an Indian radioson. So she ensured that Indian instrument met global standards. And this is a classic picture. We often hear the word, it's a man's world. It is. It is a man's world. There are 16 men and one woman from India. So 16 men from 16 different countries holding the radio sounds, and our representative, a female, flaunting our radio sound, and this is our instrument. So this was something that happened in 1956, 75 years back. And she was successful in projecting India's image in the Met field. Mani's experience was globally renowned. She was the chairman of the WMO Commission Working Group on Radiation. She was a member of the International Radiation Commission. She was a member of the International Ozone Commission. She was a member of the International Commission on Atmospheric Electricity. All of these subjects were non-mainstream. I mean, no synoptic meteorologists would talk about ozone. It's today that we know the ozone hole, but in her time, people didn't know what ozone was. They didn't even know its spelling. They didn't know what radiation was, but she was working on these. So she established a network of ground and upper air stations in these subjects. And there's a lot of research that she did, published. 1962, she wrote about sunshine and solar radiation. Again, she wrote about the radiation in sun and sky in the International Geophysical Year, and she talked about ozone measured by chemical ozone sound. We are going to hear Dr. Sridharan in a short while about this. In 65, she also wrote about infrared radiative fluxes over India. 1967, in a standard journal, Archive Meteorology, distribution of global and net radiation over the Indian Ocean and its environments. When there were no satellites, she wrote about the Indian Ocean. TELUS 1969, angstrom stability parameter. Today we talk about Delhi getting smog. She was monitoring the air quality in 1969, far, far ahead of her times. Analyze the geophysic, variations in the vertical distribution of ozone over India. 1971, interesting evidence of stratospheric dust from electrical conductivity measurements. A variety of topics she was working on. 1973, variations in the vertical ozone profiles over India. 1973, pure and applied geophysics, problems of standardization of total ozone measurements. 1975, aircraft measurements of the albedo of the Earth's surface and of clouds. Today we talk about albedo, that paint the Earth white so it will reflect all the radiation and global warming. We were talking in these kind of things, but she was actually measuring the albedo in 1975. And this one of her last papers, 1970, in which I was a co-author. That's something that I can proudly say that 1975, the paper was Mani Kelkar and Srinivasan, something I'd like to flaunt. It was about the effect of clouds and particulates on the radiation. 1960s were kind of a very crucial decade because there were two people, in fact, Syukuro Manabe of Japan, who got the Nobel Prize last year, and Kondratiev of USSR, and they established that the radiative equilibrium of the atmosphere was responsible for maintaining its temperature. And this was the pioneering work that they did. And they also showed that the disequilibrium played a major role in the circulation processes. At that time in the 1960s, there were two groups working in Pune who were engaged in radiation work. One group was in IMD led by Ms. Annamani, and there were people like Dr. Sridharan, we'll be hearing from him, Srinivasan and Desikan in that group. And they used to have radiometer sound, not radio sound, radiometer sound. And these were ascent that they made periodically in Pune, Trivandrum, and Delhi to measure radiative fluxes at various levels. There was another group in ITM, not IITM, ITM, there was no Indian at that time. And this was led by Ramesh Godbole. And this was engaged in computer simulations of the fluxes using model atmospheres. We had Dr. Murakami of Japan with this, and I was a member of that group, also a PhD student at that time. Ironically, these two groups at Pune never met. One was in Ramdurga's, one was in IS, and we never met. But it was much later to have the privilege that Miss Mani asked me to join her. And her observations and my computation was something that we compared. And that led to the paper of 1975, Effects of Clouds and Particulates on Infrared Radiative Fluxes in the Atmosphere over India. This was published in Mosam, IJMHG at that time. Our collaboration ended there because I worked in agricultural meteorology and Miss Mani was DD Instruments in Delhi, and she retired very soon. So this was the time that we made a paper, and that was the end of it. And Miss Mani retired in 1976 from Delhi and joined Raman Research Institute in Bangalore, somewhere where she had started with Raman. After retirement, she went back to Raman Research Institute in 1978. And she did some monumental work, 2 volumes, Handbook of Solar Radiation Data for India, 1981, and Wind Energy Resource Survey of India, 1992. These 2 books have now become a Bible. Anyone who wants to work in renewable energy has to read these 2 books. It has all the data because she had set up the networks and she used that data herself for producing these two books. So this was something really monumental, seminal work that she did, 78 to 82. We come to 1994, which is a bit of nostalgia. 18 years after Miss Mani had retired, I was appointed as DDG Instruments in Delhi. And this is the office where it was, the red building on Lodi Road. And when I entered my office, I saw her name on the roll of honor on the wall. And I was supposed to occupy that chair, which she had occupied once. And that was something so kind of emotional for me, because taking a chair which is occupied by such a legendary figure, you feel so small and humble in front of that. So that's what happened, and I felt humbled and also inspired that I should do something. This was 1994. 2018 was Anna Mani's birth centenary year. And the next year, there was a calendar made by an NGO, Women in Science. And in the month of August 2019, there was a caricature of Miss Anna Mani. And this was the first time that Miss Mani came before a public, in the public domain, outside the meteorological community. This was in 2019. And 2022, she was on Google Doodle. And this was for the whole world. Anybody who logged in on Google for a search will see Miss Mani's doodle. So this was a complete globalization of her work, recognized by the whole world, not only by India, but the whole world. And this was in 2022. This, I don't know who made this doodle, but it shows Miss Mani with her radio sound and wind vane and so on. But the next year, she was in geography textbooks. This is the story of a weather woman of India, ICAC geography book, standard 7. And she came in a cartoon or a caricature form in textbooks. There's a book about, book published by the Indian Academy of Science in 2008, Leelavati's Daughters, Women Scientists of India. And you know who Leelavati was. She was the daughter of Bhaskaracharya and supposed to be more intelligent than her father. And these two ladies wrote a book, Women Scientists of India, in which there was an article written by Abhas Sur of MIT, an appreciation of Anna Mani. So this was this downloadable, you can get it on the internet. And in 2016, the Astronomical Society of India instituted the Anna Mani lecture series. It's not the Indian Meteorological Society, remember that. It's the Astronomical Society of India. If somebody from IMS is here, please note that the honor came not from the IMS, but from the ASI. And they instituted a lecture series in a name. The reason was that they made it a part of the ASI working group on gender equity. And the aim is to promote gender sensitization in the astronomy community of India. So this is how Miss Mani became a global figure far beyond the Met community. And very eminent speakers have given those lectures. In fact, the most recent lecture was given on 11th December this month by Professor Lisa Cooley, astrophysicist from Harvard and Smithsonian. And she talked about gender parity in astrophysics. There's a nice video about Anna Mani. You can watch it on YouTube, Women of RRI by Prajwal Shastri. And MOES instituted an Anna Mani Award for women scientists in 2018. The first award went to Dr. Kushala Rajendran, seismologist from Center for Earth Science and Studies in Trivandrum. The next year it went to Dr. C. Manikamba, geochemist, National Geographic Research, Geophysical Research Institute in Hyderabad. And 2020, Dr. Tara Prabhakaran, who is here with us, the cloud physicist of IIT in Pune, Dr. Vandana Prasad, paleoscientist of BSIP Lucknow, and Dr. Lidita Khandeparkar, bio-oceanographer in Goa. Thereafter, no awards have been given. I hope Dr. Ravichandran is listening to me online. So after 2020, no awards were given for reasons only Secretary MOS knows. I don't know. So this is that. And there are two quotes from Miss Mani that I'd like to repeat here. One was what Miss Mani said. Never forget that there can be no synoptic meteorology, no weather forecasting, no climatology without instruments and measurements. There's something that she has said. And another sentence, technological development determine the rate of advance of scientific theory because they have the raw material, that is data. This is something that is very relevant to today when we hear of modeling, modeling, and modeling. This is something that we should keep in mind and hear. This is my third question. How do you enshrine the memory of such a legend? If I were in control, I wish I were, I would set up an Anamani Center for Instrumentation Development, but I'm not in control. So please take it from me as a request. Make an Anamani Center for Instrumentation Development. Make it a state-of-art development place where people will go and produce something, make in India, and give it to the world. This is something that I would like to do. If you can't do it, at least name a building after her. IMD has so many buildings. IIT has so many buildings. Name a building after Anamani. So when we enter it, we think that we are entering a hallowed place, a holy place. At least name a conference hall in her memory. So we can say this meeting will be in Anamani Conference Hall. And if you can't do that even, in Mosam Bhavan, when you enter, there are 30 photographs of old people like me. I'm also there in that. All men. Let there be one picture of a woman when you enter Mosam Bhavan. Please try to do that. When you go back, give this suggestion to someone. And if Ravichandran is listening to me, MOA should restore the Anamani Award. This is directly for him. So this is something that I would like to suggest. But there's one thing which I would really like to do. How do you enshrine the memory of a legend? It's simple. Next time you have an event, let all the people on the dais be women. Let the men bring the nariyals and the shawls on a tray. And let all the men sit on the audience, even people like me, sit in the audience and respect them. This will be a real enshrining memory of Anamani. What was Anamani as a person? I knew her, I can say that. She was a nationalist, very proud of India. Her instruments made her, but this is my instrument, it's worldwide accepted. It's accurate, it's precise. She took pride in being an Indian. She remained a spinster. She had no time for anything else except her work. And she expected the same diligence. Rahalkar is here and he'll tell us how she expected things from him. Sridharan will also tell us. But she rewarded people who did the effort and achieved some things. And this is my last slide. Occasionally, she would burst into a resounding laughter. Everybody could hear. If Miss Mani laughed, the whole floor would hear when she laughed. But this is a picture that I have. Here she is having that resounding laughter and entertaining 6 other foreigners in Japan. And they are listening and smiling. So this is the picture which I leave for you, that enjoy your work. And that's the end here. 16th August, she passed away, but legends don't die, they live on. Thank you. Shall I go down now?
A great thanks to you, sir, for an insightful and inspiring lecture. We are truly fortunate to have experienced such a thought provoking presentation that describes the life story of Miss Annamani Madam and illuminates the lasting impact of ma'am's contributions and provides us with much to contemplate. Next, we have a special segment Memories with Miss Annamani Madam, a tribute by Dr. Shri R. Sridharan Sir, former DDGM SIIMD Pune, through a heartfelt video. Dr. Shri R. Sridharan Sir is a distinguished environmental scientist and former DDGM SIIMD. He has made significant contributions to atmospheric research, particularly in the field of atmospheric ozone. He had also led the IMD's prestigious scientific expedition to the South Pole, showcasing his leadership and expertise in extreme environments. He had an opportunity to collaborate with Ms. Annamani Madam in ozone research. Together, they worked on advancing ozone measurement techniques, particularly using the ozone spectrophotometer. Their efforts significantly improved the precision of ozone monitoring and contributed to a deeper understanding of atmospheric ozone. Let us now watch this special video.
Amle Head Meteorological Center, Kulaba. Sir, I am very happy to see you here, and I would like to tell the very happy thing that the India Meteorological Department is celebrating 150 years of services to the nation, and we have a very great contribution to the India Meteorological Department. Sir, can you share your experience after joining the department till
for anyone who wants something new, something challenging to be taken up and do it and then have a great time.
recognized as a ozone man? So, can you share some experience about your ozone experiment, ozone assay, and how it is helpful to the general public?
Yes, that's very simple. I designed the ozone sound. It can fly up to 25 kilometers above the ground and give a complete profile of ozone. That's my contribution. Uh, I don't know whether you heard of Dr. K.R. Ramanathan. He was Sir C.V. Raman's nephew. He is the one who was in the department, IMD. And after retirement, he is in Ahmedabad. And he is the one who somehow was on very good terms with Anamani. And he will tell her if he had some ways of measuring something new, which has not been taken up so far. So ozone measurement was not taken up. And so Dr. Ramanathan told Miss Mardi, and I know how you feel in Italy. Anna,
Okay.
this is not enough. Now also, this is so important. Why don't you get someone to do that? Measure it. I'm very keen to do that. That's the beginning of the ozone studies. We hired, Namani hired a man from Wilson College, Bombay, worked for about 3 months, got number of instruments to Pune, and not one of them worked. And I've been seeing that. All the 3 months I was there, uh, posted there. I had come to Pune to work. So when I saw that, I said, come on, man, I should do that. So the preliminary experiments on the sensor, I did it every day, come to the office and concentrate on that. What uh, Professor was missing, what he is doing wrong, and I wanted to avoid all that. So I mentally made up my mind that I am going to design the sensor. Rest all I don't care. Which equipment I am using to receive the chamber or transmitter, all that is available. Don't do discovering all the things which are already existing and waste your time. You concentrate on the sensor. How you will measure the atmospheric ozone? If a quantity of air is sucked into some liquid, what is the way you will detect the ozone in that air? That you understand. And do your work based on that. So that became the main effort. How will you transfer the number of molecules of ozone that goes into potassium iodide solution? Each ozone molecule uh, in the air will create two atoms of uh, iodine in this thing, and that is easy to detect. So that is what is to be done. You concentrate on how will you detect it correctly and then transmit it into a transmitter and then get it down from the below.
Okay, so what you say about the ozone layer now?
It is to be monitored throughout your life because we are talking about ozone, which if it comes down to the ground, it will be only this thick,
Okay.
4 millimeters thick. And that presence of this 4 millimeters above the at 25 kilometers, it is scattered all over 25 kilometers round. But for that, the injurious sunlight uh, will come down and kill all the living organisms. So it is this 4 millimeters of uh, ozone that spreads, that doesn't stay on the ground. That goes up to 25 kilometers and spreads there. And there it is shielding the bad part of the sunlight and doesn't allow it to come down.
Uh, can you please share your experience with Dr. Annamani, madam, because you have worked with her for some time?
Yes, certainly. It's a pleasure to talk about those days. Yeah, she was a different type of boss, and she had that name for being very strict, very methodical, and expects a lot from her staff. So I stood up for that when I chose to work with her. So I started working under her. That's the time when Miss Mani wanted somebody to measure ozone. So she was wanting somehow or other that project to be carried out. And then one evening we were going from the office. We were late goers, so we don't rush out of the office. And I found Miss Mani just getting down from the office behind her. Then he said, "What are you doing here?" Like that. And I said, "No, I'm just doing something." "Oh, what are you doing?" Then I said, "Madam, I think I can do this measurement of ozone. If you give me the job, I can do it." What? She couldn't believe that. Because she has hired a man from Wilson College, Bombay, to do that job. In 3 months, nothing has happened.
Okay.
And I'm saying that I'll do that job. That was an audacity on my side, but that is characteristic of my basic approach to things. If you can do it, you say that you can do it. So I said I can do it. Anyway, to make a long story short,
Okay.
I gave her the product exactly within 30 days of making that statement.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So what are her innovation in surface instrument for Make in India project?
Yeah, it's not only in surface instruments. Her responsibility was pretty much wider than just surface instruments. Surface instruments were routine.
Okay.
They were already existing. There was not much of a new creativity and all that. But study of the atmosphere was a new challenge, and that involved a lot of very, very smart instrumentation. And I had been transferred to the Pune office to work under Miss Mani after 6 years of spending my time in IMT.
I would like to ask about your experience in Mumbai. You said that you are posted in Mumbai airport also. So, what is your experience at Mumbai airport? What type of work meteorologist has to do at the Mumbai airport, for, especially for aviation services?
So when I was working in Bombay airport, the radar maintenance was absolutely play for me. I was very good in recovering
Okay.
an instrument, and I had no problem whatsoever. In fact, the Delhi group, which takes care of the radar in Bombay, also was very angry with me that I never called them in 2.5 years to come and look at their radar.
Yeah.
So that tells everything.
Okay. Sir, in addition to weather forecasting, instrumentation, ozone observation, ozone balloon, what are the other activities you used to do? I heard that you were loving very much about the trees and plants. Whenever you go upstairs, you used to see all the plants and all these things. How you used to maintain office, and what are the other activities you used to do apart from our scientific activities?
That's true. I enjoyed the office work, but I enjoyed the plants around much more because that continues now. Office is now behind me, but still it gives me great pleasure to attend to the at all types of nature.
Yes, sir. I have noticed you when you used to come to the office, when you are going to a DDGM's cabin. So before going to that cabin, you used to look after three, four plants, you clean the leaves, and then you used to enter. So I have seen your love about the plants, sir.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very fond of it, and I still enjoy that.
What message you would like to give it to the all new upcoming meteorologists?
Yes, many do not realize that it is a wonderful department which gives a remarkable uh, amount of challenging things to be solved. And people who are interested in a career can find out beautiful areas of working and then make it a lifetime experience.
Sir, I would like to know the secret at this age also, how you are so active.
Good question. That's a weakness with me. Just from the childhood, I should be doing something. I just, I think part of my uh, great uh, blessing given by my mother. I have her genes and I have her attitudes. I have her sense of right and wrong, everything. So when I am in trouble, even today, my mother is no more. After 101 years, she's quit. But then she is still there around with me.
Sir, one last question. So, how you spend your retirement life actively?
I'm very fond of the open.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm pretty good in grafting
Okay.
roses, into the wild rose plant and all that. I have perfected the technique of transplanting, and even people who have spent many years in doing that work were
Not able to do like you do it.
no, they were surprised to see how simple I have taken, how simplified I have made that act of uh, making roses. So there is absolutely no boredom in my
Wow,
life.
very nice, man.
Absolutely no boredom.
Uh,
The plants. And in plants, I plant wherever I go, I plant it. I have no space, then I will put it on the windows.
Sir, thank you very much for giving your valuable time. And really, I thank you on the behalf of IMD Mumbai. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's mine too. You make my day also. Thank you.
Sir, I would like to felicitate with the coffee.
For all of your information, I would like to tell you that Dr. Shreya Sridharan sir is now 91 years old. So please give a big round of applause for giving this much time and experience, sharing his experiences. Thank you very much, sir, for generously sharing your personal reflections and memories of working with the iconic Miss Annamani Madam and for offering us a valuable glimpse into the life and legacy of extraordinary scientist. A special thanks to Sri S.G. Kamble sir, head RMC Mumbai, for his invaluable support and efforts because this video would not have been possible without his dedication and contribution. We are privileged to have Dr. Asha Gopinathan Madam joining us today via video conference. She is author of the upcoming biography of Miss Annamani Madam, which is expected to be published in the month of January 2025. Dr. Asha Gopinathan Madam completed her undergraduate studies in IIT Delhi, after which she moved to the United States to pursue graduate studies in neurobiology. She has worked in both experimental and computational neuroscience. She has Returning to India, she has worked in IISc Bangalore and Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Sciences, Thiruvananthapuram, while continuing to pursue her interest in the history of science. Writing a biography was so far from her until she realized how little young people knew about women in science. I now invite her to share her invaluable insights into the life and legacy of Miss Annamani Madam.
Online is able to hear. What about the others? Can you
Yes, ma'am, you're audible now.
some of you decided that I have it's called. So what I decided to do today, um, one second, let me share my. Okay. Okay. So what I decided to do today was, as many of the speakers before me have actually known her very well, and also part of the inner circle of this group who So the reason I think this is because in 1948, and he goes to meet them and his family in their home. Again, what is happening? I don't understand what's happening.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Okay. Then she has an emphasis on active. She had a very hands-on approach. She herself did everything. She would come into her first stage. Like her predecessor, SPB, Ms. Mani would also undertake field work. In the initial stages of the radiation network, she now, this I think the most talking to them what when suddenly I'm first, and they would know she could love to arrive. And so they in addition to the scientific work and the other things that she did in Pune, that some of the things that she did, right? Kalam and Geeta are well and happy, all his money. So Office Mommy also inspired them in many ways. She had a lovely library. They could. One, this came for a variety of reasons. She was managed to convert Pune into the next. And as a this is a photograph I took in February 2019 when I visited. So I wrote this because I want young people to know. Young people nowadays neither see nor task rate, gender and identity. People have talked about, I don't know what this rate is visible, so let me try to zoom in a little bit. Both data is from IMD only, and this is from 2009. And you see that women, those days it wasn't the ABCD category, it was the old way of doing things. And you can see that women are in the SO, which I think the senior observer category, 11.5 reduce as we keep going up. Of course, the men also reduce, but the number of women continues to be small, and the percentage of directors is only 4.1%. In 1962, the women were all in clerical positions. Anna was the only one who was in a salaried position. The other women were all. After that, it was and this one is from 2022, and here you have the just 2% of women. She just breezed through the system in ways that I have to still understand how she managed to do it. One factor, the fact that she worked with Rwanda, where someone like her to survive. And my last slide is, one second. This is another she loved nature.
Thank you, madam, for your enlightening and inspiring insights. Your commitment to preserving and sharing the remarkable story of Miss Annamani, madam, through the forthcoming biography is truly praiseworthy. Today, we are having Sri C.G. Rahalkar, sir, former director IMD Pune, with us. He joined IMD on 12 July 1965 as a scientific assistant in the office of the director instruments in Pune. Under the guidance of Miss Annamani Madam, he worked in the solar radiation laboratory where he gained valuable experience and laid a strong foundation for his career. He later contributed to the development of solar radiation instruments and research, becoming part of the regional center of the WMO's RA2 working group. I now invite Sri C.G. Rahalkar sir, former director IMD Pune, to share his insightful experiences of working with the esteemed Miss Annamani Madam.
I joined the department on 12 July 1965. That time, then our admin officer, T.K. Vishwanathan, actually he took me to director, Miss Annamani, and introduced me. There actually, she first asked that you are 22 years old, so now you have to put up 36 years of service. You have to work hard first thing and not hardly, like that she told. Immediately she called, I will post you to radiation laboratory, central radiation laboratory. Call Mr. Chaco, who is actually the chief of the central radiation laboratory. Then Mr. Chaco came there. She told him, yes, I am giving you a young hand for help. Then go to laboratory. Immediately, I have to go there, solar radiation laboratory. Now, slowly now we have seen that how much this subject is important and special laboratory. So slowly actually, I started doing work. And her habit used to be, she used to come make a round to all the laboratories. And one of the laboratories she used to sit. Slowly officers used to come there and she used to discuss there actually for hours together, sometimes in 10, 15 minutes, giving sometimes some instructions. That we used to hear sometimes the discussion on some scientific subjects. Though this opportunity I got it. Now working hard is the main job actually. But our 1 year always used to be whatever discussion is going on, etc. Now afterwards, actually, I concentrated slowly toward the calibration work and devoted to mainly the inspection of various actually stations. The solar radiation network stations, first it was 5 only, then developed to 16, and finally, when I retired, it came to 40 radiation station network. So our main job was actually mainly to maintain the station. And she told also that the instruments, not only data, but that it should be reliable data. So every year we used to keep a check on those calibrations, etc., how much data is reliable. So that was our main responsibility. Getting reliable data is very important. And uh, other observation I used to keep, and I always. Finally, when I become director, 6 years I was there. So every then it was independent. Then now after around 1980, she was in Raman Institute. That time she called there I visited, then she told Halkar about some instruments. She asked me to give you a report. Then I gave the report after checking the instruments. Now, afterwards she told, having come to the Raman Institute, what we have to do? First, actually, you visit particular that see his huge collection of various gems, etc. How they are used for scientific work, actually. Then I got a golden chance, actually, to see the huge collection of various jewels. Then Dr. Radhakrishnan was there. He told this cost around 4 to 5 crores of the jewels. I got to see the original spectrometer made, constructed by Dr. C.V. Raman, actually. Then other thing means actually, whenever she was in up to 69, she was in Pune. Afterwards, she got transferred to Delhi as DDM Instruments. Then her first instructions were, whoever comes from Pune, you have to visit me. Without visiting me, actually, you can't go back, actually. And right from very low staff to all, any officers, actually. And then she used to ask about your comforts, etc. Once it happened, actually, during May 1972, we 4 officers were called, actually, Mr. Deshikan, Chako, myself, and our group D staff. Actually, the plan was to establish a station at Srinagar, solar radiation station. So with all equipment, during the summer, we went to Delhi. And at the same time, some research papers also, research paper work also was going on. 4 papers were to send. So, going to Srinagar, main job was going to Srinagar and early papers. These 2 things were there. I was asked actually to take some observations, that is the albedo measurements at various underlying surfaces. Morning 8:30 we used to go there, and in various places, underlying like a desert, grassy surface, etc. And then she told, having come to Delhi, you don't know how much it is hot. So every time, Ralkar, you have to, before exposing yourself, you drink 1 or 2 glasses of water first. So otherwise, it is very difficult. You may face sunstroke also. So I mean to say that when you go for work, actually, the other part is comfort. That also she used to give importance. All these things actually, I'm proud of these things that I got a chance to work under her for 4.5 years. And that was a very firm base, I can say, for my later services throughout the year. And we don't fail anything working 8 hours together. So thanks to my Ms. Anamani actually to post me to Central Radiation Laboratory. Other things are going on actually. I don't do this much work actually I wanted to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your memories with us. Now it's time to felicitate some of the IMD officials. So, for felicitation, I would like to request Shalikar sir to please come on the stage. And so, first, I would like to request Shalikar sir to kindly felicitate Dr. R.D. Vasist sir, former DDGM, SI Pune, was closely worked and the instrumentation. We are fortunate that we are having two officials physically present here who was worked in the workshop, and during their tenure the workshop flourished globally, nationally as well as globally. So I would like to request Hoshalika sir to kindly felicitate Sri D.L. Shinde. Please give him a big round of applause. Now, I request sir to felicitate Sri B.V. Lele. However, only two officials are physically present here, but there were so many workshop people who were closely associated with the Anamani madam, and they have done a great contributions in the instrumentation. So I request you all to please give them all a big round of applause. Thank you so much, sir. Now I invite Dr. Kripan Ghosh, sir, to please come forward and propose the vote of thanks.
All the dignitaries joining online and offline, and on and off the dais. Good afternoon to you all. As we came to the end, it is my privilege to extend a vote of thanks in the event of Annamani Memorial Lecture and release of souvenir. To begin with, I am extremely thankful to Dr. M. Ravichandran, Secretary, Ministry of Art Sciences, and Dr. Mrityunjay Mahapatra, Director General of Meteorology, for granting approval to organize the workshop and for their blessing messages. Mahapatra sir has been instrumental in making the event a reality, starting from conceptualization up to formulation of the program. I'm highly thankful to Ravichandran sir and Mahapatra sir for joining us through video conference and adding depth to our discussions and explaining the contributions of Miss Mani Madam. I do express my sincere gratitude to Dr. R.R. Kelkar, former Director General of Meteorology, who has kindly consented to grace the occasion and deliver Miss Annamani Memorial Lecture. Thank you very much, sir, for enriching us with your such informative lecture, and we learned a lot. Really, I was knowing something, but I was not knowing so many things, and it has encouraged us that how we'll be working. I'm also highly thankful to Dr. R. Krishnan, Director IITM, Sri K.S. Hosalikar, Head CR&S, and Dr. Soma Senroy, IMD New Delhi, for addressing the enthusiastic gathering. Hosalikar sir is behind every success of this event with his constant support, guidance, and inspiration. My special gratitude also goes to Dr. C.R. Sridharan, former DDGM SI Division, Rahalkar sir, former director, IMD Pune. Actually, when I joined, within 1 year, he has retired, and I have been trained through him in radiation and all. When he was there, I was discussing with him. And also to Dr. Asha Gopinathan, senior author, who is presently writing the biography of Annamani Madam, for her insightful reflections on Miss Annamani's life and legacy. Interactions with these distinguished personalities prior to this event have given necessary encouragement for organizing this event. And in this regard, special thanks are due for Sri S.G. Kamble, Head RMC Mumbai, for his constant support for collecting the memories from Sridharan sir. I am also highly thankful to Dr. Ashish Lele, Director, National Chemical Laboratory, Pune, to kindly accepted our invitation to grace the occasion. I also take this opportunity to thank all the esteemed guests from the institutions like IITM, CDAC, NDRF, IMSP, SPPU, NCDEX, and others whose participations underscores the collective respect and admiration for Ms. Annamani's works and legacy. It is highly noteworthy to mention about the support of Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology for generously providing the Meghdut Auditorium and excellent facilities enabling to host this event. My sincere thanks are also due to all the officials from various offices of IMD Pune and retired offices of IMD, as well as close associates who worked with Annamani. A few were there. Her family members and relatives who joined online, and also for their gracious presence in today's function. I'm thankful to the officers and staff members of various offices of IMD New Delhi and Pune, as well as IITM, who have worked extremely hard during last couple of weeks to make the event successful. I'm also grateful to media friends for their wide coverage and publicity. There are many others who have helped us in our logistic and physical arrangement, hospitality, and finally with their well wishes. I thank every member of the local organizing committee for their untiring efforts to organize the meeting. Last but not the least, I thank all the audience, online and offline, and who are already present here for their participations, which have made this event truly memorable. Let us take inspiration from Annamani Madam's remarkable journey and continue to strive for excellence in our respective fields for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As we conclude this meaningful gathering in honor of Miss Annamani Madams, I kindly request you all to rise and join in the singing of our national anthem, a tribute to our nation and its lives. Before proceeding for the lunch, I kindly request everyone to please proceed outside the auditorium for a group photograph for making this moment even more memorable. So please join us outside the auditorium, please. Thank you so much.